Welcome to Thoroughbred Racing Forecast Kentucky Derby Special, the fastest 30 minutes on television. Coming to you from the world-famous Santa Anita Park and the new Plaza Hotel, downtown Las Vegas. Thoroughbred Racing Forecast, starring Dennis Tobler. And now, here's your host, Trip Mitchell.
Welcome to Thoroughbred Forecast, Kentucky Derby Edition. Hi everyone, I'm Trip Mitchell and I'll be joined for the next half hour by veteran horse owner Dennis Tobler. And Dennis, is there a better week to be involved in thoroughbred racing than this week?
Certainly not, Trip. The Kentucky Derby is the greatest 2 minutes in sports, and everybody looks forward to the big day. Everybody's been pointing towards this for the last 3 months. A lot of prep races are under the belt. Everybody's ready to go, and the excitement is big in Churchill Downs, Santa Anita, and Las Vegas.
Speaking of Santa Anita, we're here, and this is a very special track in thoroughbred business.
Yes, it is, Trip. This is the great race place. It's one of the truly iconic places in the entire world to race. There's nothing greater than standing in the winner's circle at Santa Anita Park. I've done that many times. I hope to do that many times in the future. So we're ready to get down to the business of handicapping the Kentucky Derby. This is the greatest time of the year for horse people, and we want to make sure we bring you all the insights and information possible.
Well, we're starting the show from Santa Anita, where Dennis is going to get a chance to talk to some of the real experts in the world of horse racing. Then later in the show, we'll be up in Las Vegas to get down to brass tacks and handicap and give you some winners. When we come back, Dennis will be visiting with Mike Curtis.
When I'm at the track, I get all my information from the Thoroughbred Forecast.
Churchill Downs has a circumference of its dirt track of 1.1 miles, with a home stretch of 1,235 feet. The horses will pass this area of the home stretch in front of the grandstand and the clubhouse 2 times as they make their 1.25 mile journey. You'll also see over 150,000 fans. You may see sunshine, you may see rain. If it rains and stops raining by Derby morning, the track crew has an excellent chance of getting a fast track prior to the 6:23 p.m. post time.
Welcome back, everyone. It's my distinct pleasure to be here with one of my longtime friends and a great horseman in his own right. I've pulled on the information from this guy for many years to make me successful at the track. He's one heck of a horse trainer and a knowledgeable horseman, so we're going to get some insights from him. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Pleasure to see you, Dennis.
I'm sure glad you were able to come out today, Mike, because the first thing we need to do in handicapping a race like the Kentucky Derby is we need to talk to a real trainer and find out how these horses actually prepare for a race of this distance.
Okay, most important thing is prep races. I like to see horses that have had maybe 3 or 4 prep races going 1.1 miles. This is very important leading up to the Derby. Most horses have never gone 1.25 miles, so with these prep races, I would like to see, if I was a trainer, after they go past the post in the race, galloping out very strongly.
The key here, Mike, is there's a lot of horses. The young ones some of them have went that far that races 2-year-olds, but the new shooters, 3-year-olds, haven't been that far. How would you bring those horses up to the track?
Okay, these horses that have been prepping and only have gone for 1 mile or 1.1 miles, I would definitely, within the last 2 weeks before the Derby, be giving them very, very long gallops and maybe 2 miles a day. And some of those days I'd have them finishing strongly the last 1/2 mile.
As you look at it from a trainer standpoint, we know Churchill Downs is a little different than a lot of other racetracks. How do you see Churchill Downs playing out? And of course, we never know if it's going to rain or not.
That's correct. Now, Churchill Downs is a much bigger track. Most tracks are 1 mile. Churchill Downs is 1.1 miles, if I remember correctly. I think a lot of these horses that have had a race over the track will benefit much more than horses that it will be their first time there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the horses that have ran out west particularly seem to be racing on a little harder racetracks, whereas Churchill Downs is deeper, and you're going to have a fit horse to win this race.
Definitely.
The horses that are coming to the race, they don't necessarily have to have won these prep races. They're just trying to build a foundation and get them to peak at the right time, correct?
Well, I would like to see horses that are definitely in the first three. Definitely always out there trying, contending. You don't want a horse to come to the Kentucky Derby and he ran his race 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's one of the trickiest parts as a trainer, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Is trying to get that horse to peak on the particular day you want it to peak on.
It's really just like fine-tuning a Ferrari. You want to have them right on the day.
Okay, Mike, when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, what's more important? The breeding of the horse, the trainer, or the jockey?
I think all three are important.
I think maybe the trainer's important, and that's one of the reasons why I have you on the show first, so you can explain to us what the trainer needs to do to bring these horses to the track. But you're right, it takes all three to win any of these classic races at these classic distances. Especially a mile and a quarter is a tough thing to ask an early 3-year-old this time of the year.
Definitely agree.
Okay, Mike, finally, what everybody really wants to know is, who do you like in this year's Kentucky Derby?
My pick, Dennis, is Gemologist. I like this Top Pletcher horse. He had a few problems as a 2-year-old and early 3-year-old with his shins, which is to be expected with some horses. I think he's coming on good now. I think he's got a lot stronger, a lot bigger, more mature, and I expect him to win the race.
And he's relatively new shooter too, so he should be fresh and ready to go.
Right.
So there you have it, everyone. Mike has given you some great insights and some selections for this year's Derby. We'll be right back with more. Right now it's time to throw it out to Santa Anita to our correspondent JOANNE Jones. She's there with former European trainer Mike Curtis, who moved his tack to America several years ago and has in fact trained several of my horses in the Southern California area. JOANNE?
While just about everybody has something to say about the French importer Rossi, there isn't a heck of a lot of talk about the other two European invaders. Trainer Mike Curtis, who moved to the United States from England about 18 years ago, had a chance to work with one of England's top trainers, John Gosden. What can you tell us about Dr. Devious?
Dr. Devious has had one race this year. He ran a very strong second. I question his ability to go 1.25 miles. So far, the furthest race he has been in has been 1 mile, and he might not be fit enough to go 1.25 miles.
Some viewers have heard handicapping wisdom such as, you can't win from the inside post, the horse can't win from the outside, but a well-trained animal can win from anywhere. It does help if the horse enjoys the footing at Churchill Downs. That does not necessarily mean that the horse has to have raced over Churchill Downs prior to Derby Day. All horses have an opportunity in at least the week before, and maybe further, to have worked over the track. It does look like a fast track, and the speed should hold. Of course, handicapping principle, horses with the best foundation and that have that stamina to last the 1.25 miles, still the key element of handicapping this race. Dennis, Tripp, back to you.
Be sure and check us out and like us on Facebook at Thoroughbred Racing Forecast. We'll have photos of the shoot and a lot of information, so check us out on Facebook at Thoroughbred Racing Forecast. Check us out at www.thoroughbredforecast.com for the latest in horse racing selections, also videos of our television shows, and better yet, we have our many opportunities for investment and opportunities for you to get involved in the great sport of kings. Check us out today, thoroughbredforecast.com. When we're talking about wagering strategies for the big races like the Kentucky Derby, there are certain things that you do in a race like this that you don't normally do at the regular racetrack on a regular basis. And that is, you have to take a deeper look at the exotic wagers. We're going to take a deep look at the exotic wagers, and we'll be right back with that information and our final selections for this year's Derby.
I get my winners from Dennis Tobler.
It's my distinct pleasure now to introduce you to one of the great horsemen in California, Roger Carrion. He is a gentleman that started a long time ago in Woodbine, and there's not a stallion or a mare that he doesn't know about. He's also one of the finest wagering authorities in this state, and one of the reasons we asked him to be on the show today is because he knows how to build exotic wagers for races like the Kentucky Derby. Roger, give us your overview on what you like to find in the form or how you do it and how you put together these winning tickets.
First of all, you have to have a good bankroll the day you come into the Derby.
And you are known as the king of superfectas. How do you start putting together your superfecta ticket for a big race like the Derby?
Let's say you pick 3 or 4 horses at 7-1, 5-1, 10-1, and you put these price horses first and second, and then you wheel the favorite second with the field all, because the bottom horse is going to be another high price horse.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this right. You don't want to use the favorite in first or second position because you're not going to get the price that you deserve.
Definitely.
And you suggest maybe spreading out in the 4th position to all.
Exactly.
So
Third,
you're right.
4th.
You need to come with a bankroll, and you certainly need to know what you're doing to put these things together.
Right now, the wagering is more enjoyable because they allow superfecta wheels with the small dimes.
Yeah, 10-cent wagering on superfectas allows you to cover up a lot more horses than you could on a dollar ticket, say. So what's the normal price of a ticket you would put together on a Derby?
Depending on the field, I mean, 10-horse field, 12-horse field, at 10 cents if you wheel second and third, overall it's going to cost you about 180 over 180, but the payoff, it's really juicy.
The payoffs are astronomical because 2 years ago during the Breeders' Cup, I hit the late pick 4, and that paid $17,000 plus for a 50-cent ticket. So I agree with your wagering strategies, and I hope I get to check with you right before race time so I can see what horses you like. You have to have a lot of luck fall your way, and we're hoping luck will fall our way in this year's Kentucky Derby. Roger Carrion, everyone. Thank you very much, Roger.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike, what everyone out there really wants to know is, who do you like in this year's Kentucky Derby?
I'm going with Hansen. I think he was a very good 2-year-old. He was champion 2-year-old, and I just think he's going to keep on winning.
Well, I certainly watched some of his prep races, and he's one of the fastest horses I've seen, and he can certainly stretch out. And talk about beautiful, a pure white horse. You won't have any trouble picking him out of the field of 20. So there you have it, everyone. Mike has given you some great insights and some selections for this year's Derby. We'll be right back with more. One of the best ways to get involved in thoroughbred racing is through a syndicate. A syndicate enables you to enjoy the benefits of ownership by not having to pay the huge expense that comes with owning a racehorse. By joining a syndicate, you and the other partners put up a smaller amount of money, and therefore you have an investment and you get to enjoy the sport of kings as if you were an owner, which you really are an owner. So if you want to check out some syndicate possibilities, go to www.thoroughbredforecast.com and check out what we have on the board. We're now doing 2-year-old and 3-year-old syndications, and we want to make sure you have an opportunity to get involved. So check us out today.